I was watching a softball game, and I started to think about how each step of a softball game was related to this experiment we had done the day before in science class. I started to think about it, and I realized that warm-ups were kind of like setting up an experiment, and then the whole game was kind of like attacking your opponent, which is similar to what we did in the experiment to proteins. And then the final thing is the end result, or a trophy. So basically what I said was that warm-ups, everybody in the softball game, you had to stretch because during a game you might get injured if you don't warm up. And in an experiment, you have to do the setup exactly right, because during the experiment, you realize that you forgot to take out your pipette, you might mess up your whole experiment, have to start all over, which is kind of like an injury in a softball game. And then we go on to techniques. Well, techniques for softball, you have to look at the other team, find their weaknesses, and attack them that way. Like, if a team doesn't know how to play a bunt, then you're always bunting and you score a lot of runs. And in the experiment, what we did is we found out the weaknesses of cell membrane and the protein, so we can separate it from the DNA, so we can have the protein and throw it away and keep our DNA. Basically, that was very similar to me. And finally, in softball and in the experiment, you have a goal. Like in softball, you want to have the satisfaction of knowing you tried your hardest, and sometimes if you win, you will get a big trophy. And in the experiment, you want to have the goal of getting that last piece of DNA in that Eppendorf tube so you can see it. So I thought that was very similar, and in the experiment, we did get our DNA, we had the satisfaction. In the softball game, we were happy because we tried our hardest and depicted the other team's weaknesses. So overall, I was thinking that next time I'm watching any other sport, I might think later on, oh, what experiment might this remind me of later? So every time I'm watching a sport, I want to keep it in mind of other experiments in life.